At blacklivesmatter.com, they say they are fighting to end state-sanctioned violence, liberate black people, and end white supremacy once and for all. They also say they're working for a world where black lives are no longer systemically targeted for demise. This all sounds well and good, but are these problems actually real? What is up, my disciples? I am Ben, the politically incorrect dude, and in this video, we're going to be exploring the credibility of the Black Lives Matter movement. On this channel, my mission is to teach you all the things you won't learn in school because some people might find it offensive. I debunk bogus feel-good fairy tales and other nonsense, and I tell you like it is. If you dig my vibe, click like and subscribe. For the most part, Black Lives Matter supporters are full of shit. But not completely. Racism against black people isn't over. There are still people who think that the interests and well-being of black people are less important than those of white people. There are also delusional people who will believe bad things about black people regardless of what the actual evidence suggests. Black Lives Matter supporters seem to think that this is normal. They seem to believe that authority figures here in the United States routinely murder black people just because they're black. I suspect that this does happen sometimes, but how often? What do the actual facts suggest? Here's the facts. American police kill more white people than black people each year. Take a look. But in fairness to our Black Lives Matter friends, if we measure police killings on a person-by-person basis, black people are being killed more. Here's another graph. So Black Lives Matter must be right. Society and the government are racist. Well, not so fast. The FBI keeps track of who commits what crimes and who the victims were. According to their statistics, the average black American is far more likely to commit a crime than the average white American. Yeah, in most cases, I don't think police are killing black people because of systemic racism. In 2019 alone, black Americans have killed more than 5 times as many black people as the police and white Americans have combined. Now, I suppose that it's possible that my sources are bogus bullshit and that there's some giant conspiracy going on to frame black people for the crimes that other people commit. But this is astronomically unlikely. It's not 0%, but it's less than 1%. It's about as probable as flat Earth or Islam is being true. I think we can say with a 99% degree of confidence that black people in the United States are A, more likely to commit crimes than white people per person, and B, a lot more likely to be murdered by other black people than they are by the police. Now, don't get me wrong. I have no respect for police officers who use unnecessary lethal force. I absolutely think that former officer Derek Chauvin should rot in prison for what he did to George Floyd. Another case that really pissed me off was the fatal shooting of Stephen Clark. But when we zoom out and look at all the facts, we can see that these cases and other cases like them are statistical anomalies. As a black man in America, your lifetime odds of being killed by the police are about 1 in 1,000. Your daily odds of being killed by the police are about 1 in 25 million. And if you're not a criminal black guy and you don't hang out with criminals, your odds of being killed by the cops are probably even less. So why are Black Lives Matter supporters so focused on systemic racism-related murders when that's far from the main threat to the lives of black people? It's because helping black people isn't their number one priority. I'm going to say that again. Helping black people is not their number one priority. For Black Lives Matter supporters, racism is the conclusion, and they cherry-pick facts to support that conclusion while ignoring and making excuses for all other facts. They're not 100% wrong. Racism against black people still exists, but it's not this all-encompassing problem that's responsible for all the dangers and hardships that black people face. Black Lives Matter supporters and other woke people have an emotional attachment to the idea of racism and victimhood. Deep down, they want systemic racism to be this huge thing, and it's kinda creepy.
No!
I want you to think about this critically. Why does anyone have a problem with all lives matter? Black lives fall within the domain of all lives. It's not all lives except Black Lives Matter. It's just all lives matter. People have a problem with all lives matter because they want racism to be a thing, and they're looking for any excuse they can to see it. I also want to call attention to the fatal shooting of 16-year-old Mikaya Bryant by the police. Mikaya was shot and killed while attempting to stab another black woman named Tiana Bonner. Now, I'm not saying that Mikaya was an all-around bad person, because she probably wasn't. But what I am saying is that a police officer shot one black girl to stop her from stabbing another black girl. This is exactly how I would expect a normal, non-racist cop to behave. But that's not how many Black Lives Matter supporters see it. They want to see racism and police brutality. So that's what they see. So this begs the question, why would anyone have an emotional attachment to the idea of systemic racism and want it to be a thing? I can't definitively answer this question because I don't know, but I do have my suspicions. For both whites and blacks alike, an irrational obsession with racism can provide you with a mission and a purpose when you otherwise wouldn't have one. Anger is the least unpleasant negative emotion. It definitely feels better than pain. It even feels better than boredom. I suspect many black people feel powerless for one reason or another, and getting angry about racism gives them a temporary feeling of power. For white Black Lives Matter supporters, I suspect a different motive. They want to be one of the few good guys. If we live in a world where only 5% of white people are racist, and you're not a racist, then congratulations for not being a complete dick. But on the flip side, if we live in a society rife with systemic racism, and you're one of the few people who's not a racist, well, that's bomb ass. You get to be a hero without having to take any risks or do any work. If we take the statement Black Lives Matter at face value, I see nothing wrong with it. Yes, Black Lives Matter. But to sum up, the Black Lives Matter movement isn't actually about helping black people. It's about an emotional attachment to the idea of systemic racism and defending that belief. As a general rule, Black Lives Matter supporters feel powerless and unhappy about something, and hyper-focusing on things like the murder of George Floyd is their coping mechanism. In the future, I plan to release a video where I will discuss ways in which society can actually help and empower black people. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and then go check my YouTube channel out for more awesome, politically incorrect content. Now, go out into the world and be an awesome and relevant somebody.